Hi everyone. I wanted to walk through some different parts of our assignment for this week so that some of the common mistakes and errors that I'm seeing, we can maybe head those off. So this is sort of what the finished assignment will look like. And so you have this greenish area where you've entered just some numbers. These are just data. And we have the labels over here in the months, and we have totals over here, and we have subtotals and totals at the bottom. And so one of the first things to notice is that we turned this whole area surrounded by the heavy black border here into a table using the format as table command up here. And when we did that, it put a pull down arrow in each of the headings. And you notice that this one looks a little different and maybe hard to see, but there's a small arrow pointing up, which indicates that we've sorted the table by this column. So we can click on the pull down and you can see you can sort smallest to largest or largest to smallest. So you can sort it the other way and put the largest number at the top, or probably the more common is smallest to largest. And so the other thing I'd like to point out is if you click in one of these cells, if you double click, you will see the formula up here in the formula bar, and you see highlighted in blue the area that is being operated on by this formula. It's a range, and there are handles on here, so you can actually adjust the range. You can change it, and if you like the new range, you can click the check marks to accept that. And what you see is that Excel did not like this. It's marked all these cells with this green triangle, and there's a warning. If you click on the warning, it tells you that the formula omits adjacent cells, and so that indicates an error. So we can undo this, and we'll go back, and now everybody's happy because the cell now includes all those, the range. So when we did this range, you created it in the first cell in this column, and then you use this little handle. See how the cursor changes to a plus, and that's called the autofill handle. And what you can do is copy that formula either to the right or down, depending on which way you drag it. So we dragged it down, copy that formula all the way. So some other things I wanted to point out is that all the numbers in this green area, if we add those up, it doesn't matter how we add them, we should get the same total. So we've added each row over here in column F, and then down here in F17 we've used a sum function to sum that column. And over in this cell B17 we have summed this column, and we copied that across so that these cells are summing each of the columns. If we add those all together, it ought to be the same as what we got by summing all the rows. So in this cell is where we're supposed to put a formula that does that. So the first thing you notice in this cell is that it does not equal the results of this cell here. It's supposed to be summing these numbers across here, and it's not. It just has E17. We could just remove the sum and just say equals E17. It would do the same thing. It's just copying whatever is in E17 and putting it over here. So it's not really performing like we want it to. Let's look at the subtotal, and we're showing all the cells, all the rows in this table, so the subtotal should be the same as the total, but you see it's not. So let's look at the formula. The subtotal says has arguments. So the first argument is what do you want to see in the subtotal. So you can see only the cells that are not selected or the cells that are selected. So the 109 is a code that Excel defines as summing in the subtotal only the cells that are showing. And then we have the range that this is going to operate on, which is B3 to B14. So that's this range here. Okay. So if we filter the table, if we go in here and we unselect all and we select just a few months, the subtotal should only show the total for these months, which is what it does. You can see that there are 3 months here, each about $1,000, and the total is about $3,000. So that's right. And the total is still showing what we think is the total for the whole column, whether they're showing or not. The icon up here in month has changed to show that we have filtered this table by this column. So I'm going to go up here and select all so we get back to showing everything. Right, so when we're showing everything, as I said, the subtotal should be the same as the total, but look at this. This total does not equal the subtotal. It's actually double. And if we double click in here and see what we're summing, now it becomes clear. We should not be including the subtotal in the total. So we can change that a couple ways. One is to get a hold of the handle on the corner of the selected area and drag it up. It's tricky to get a hold of that. I've tried a number of times and missed it. So another way is to go up here in the formula bar and just simply edit the formula. So I'm selecting the 6 and I'm changing it to 14. So now we have the range of B3 to B14, which is the cells in the table. So I'm going to click OK to accept that. Now we see that our subtotal, and we're showing everything, and the total match, and that's what they should. So now I'm going to copy this. I'm going to autofill it across so we get that. And so now all these cells are summing just the table, not any of these cells outside the table. All right, so we have these. So now our test has to be fixed. So it's not summing the range. So if I click up in the formula bar to select the cell, you can see that it's selected here. And I'm going to grab the corner of the selection area and move it so that now we're summing not the total, but all the columns that are not the total, the column totals. And I'm going to click OK. And I see this is not right because it's still going to F16. I should have copied that over one more. There we go. Okay, so now our total of the columns, I'm going to copy the format with the format painter and change that. So, okay, so now we've got the sum of the rows in each row here, and we've added all those down here to give us the sum of the columns. And over here we have the sum of the columns. We added those together to give us those, and we get the same result. So now our numbers are working. When we show all the rows, our subtotal and our totals match. And our check here shows that the total, whether we sum all the columns or we sum all the rows, we get the same number. So we know our math and our formulas are good. If we go back here and we do some filtering, what we're going to see is that the totals don't change, but the subtotals now reflect just what's showing in the table. So I hope that by going through this, some of these cells will make more sense to you. When you choose to display something in a cell, if you want to put a formula in here, you can sum or average or whatever anything you want. It does not have to be just the cells to the left or just the cells above. If there are numbers in the cells to the left or above, Excel makes a guess that that's what you want, so it puts that in. But if there's nothing in the cells around here, Excel is waiting on you to tell it what you want. So I could basically sum this row, and this can be anywhere. Actually, I can also move it anywhere I'd like. That's different than filling down. If I were to fill down, that is going to do the row below the one that this row is summing. So this is summing B12, and by copying it down, Excel decided that I want the next one down, so it's going to be B13. Again, these can be anywhere. They still are doing what you told them to do with the formula up here, summing this particular range. So I'm hoping again that is a bit of a help to you, and I look forward to getting your assignments.